heroes were singing cowboys on TV. So I wrote a poem poking fun at the singing cowboys on TV. He rides a horse and packs a gun, but we all know it's all in fun because he ain't never shot no one. He's just a TV cowboy. Wears a little piece of hair up on his head for it is bare. Why, heck, he's slick from here to there. He's just a TV cowboy. His makeup in them skin-tight jeans, it's them what makes him look so mean. We see him on a little screen. He's just a TV cowboy. Always wears a padded shirt, and girdle does his middle girt. Why, heck, he's just a little squirt. He's just a TV cowboy. 4-inch lips and fake mustache, and his breath that smells like day old hash. But man, he's really got the cash. He's just a TV cowboy. I got my paper, so I don't do them twice. I've memorized all the poems, but I have to have my paper so I'll be able to go down the list. Now I want to tell you about a big ranch down here, the White's Ranch. A lot of y'all know where the White's Ranch is. Their brand is the Cross W. So I wrote this poem about leading horses for the Cross W. Not riding, but leading. I was riding broncs for the W Cross. Between me and them weren't no love lost. I wasn't fond of them, and they most surely must have hated me. I knew they did by the way they fight and buck and feller with all their might and fill my life with pain and misery. Well, I caught this snake one summer day, and I started out to earn my pay. To think a cowboy is what I thought I'd want to be. Well, them was the days of lawn disease and the cows that chew up bones and trees and anything else they thought might give them ease. Well, I roped this cow with a bone in her mouth, and I laid a trip and I headed south. I'll tell you how that outlaw broke an egg in me. We stretched the twine and we laid her down, and before my foot near hit the ground, he broke in two and went as high as any horse could ever be. Well, he bucked and he bellered and he swallowed his head, and I thought, oh no, this time I'm dead. Saw grass, marsh, and gator holes as far as my two weary eyes could see. Well, I landed face first on the ground right by a big old muskrat mound. By then, the taste of mud and dirt was nothing new to me. When I come to and began to talk, I told that bronc, or that you'll walk. Back to White's Ranch you'll walk. You wait and see. Well, I led that horse 10 miles that day. I guess I really made him pay. I showed that bronc there ain't no horse can get the best of me. I'll tell you about a big ranch down here, McFadden's Ranch. I was breaking horses down there on the McFadden's Ranch one time, and I met an old black cowboy named Lester Jackson, and Lester told me some wonderful stories. And he told me about when he first went to work on that ranch. He said that the Big Smoke, he called him, Kenneth Day, told him, he said, boy, you'll have to learn to get along with me and my horses. Said he found out what he meant the first day. They roped a big gun horse for him. That horse couldn't buck him off, so he just reached around and beat him on the leg. Had to take his whip handle, make him turn loose. Had to ride him all day. Boys would come out of town and try to be cowboys, and the rank horses and mosquitoes would send them packing. So I wrote a poem about that. Troubles on the mash stove. Gather round, boys, for my tale of woe, and I'll tell you about my troubles on the old mash stove. Tell you about the horse that changed my ways and really put an end to my wrangling days. Down in the marsh where the bayou flows, and the skeeters and the gators and the saltgrass grows, was a line-back gun, stood 16 hands, and there on his hip was a mash stove brand. Cold as a cottonmouth, lean as a wolf, meanest old critter that walked on a hoof. Eyes full of ugly and chuck full of mean was the rankest old bronc that I ever had seen. Well, the boss stepped up and he said to me, on this outfit there ain't nothing free. You eat my chuck and you draw my pay. You'll ride old Dunny till the end of the day. All of a sudden I yearned for the sound of the streets of the city and the lights of the town. Hitting them high down the trail I go. getting me gone from the old mashed stove. Well, I sweep pool halls from my bed now. There's no more chasing of the zebu cow. Of a cowboy's life I want no more. Rather clean a john and sweep the floor. I have no need for boots or hat or chaps or spurs or none of that. I won't no part no more, I know, of the broncs and the brimmers on the old mash stove. Now, when I was rodeoing, riding bulls and bareback horses and saddle broncs, there was always some old guy hanging around, and he'd say, I used to ride them. Now, I'm the old guy hanging around that says I used to ride them. Same thing with ranch work. Anybody that's ever done ranch work, been around ranch work, that's usually some of their favorite stories and fondest memories. So I wrote a poem about the days of my youth. Son, I recall now the days of my youth, back before I got so long in the tooth, and big in the middle and gray in the hair. Come sit down beside me, my story I'll share. Of days when I rode for the half-circle limb, where the living was fine, but the wages were slim. The hours were long and the work it was hard, but the worries was few and we went to bed tired and woke up next morning just feeling so fine, you'd have thought that our coffee was souped up with wine. Working the cows and the feeding the stock, we never had need for a watch or a clock. Then my ambition and I had a row. My ambition won. Would you look at me now? Sitting up here in a suit and a tie in a cubbyhole office up next to the sky. I live in a penthouse, I eat the best fare. My car has a chauffeur who treats it with care. I have all the things that I wanted so bad. So why in the heck am I feeling so sad? So downright regretful and lonesome and blue. My friends tried to tell me, but I thought I knew. If I could just turn back the time, just a tad, back toward my youth, son, when I was a lad, I'd trade in these ulcers and headaches and stress, the bills and the worries that go with this mess, and I'd tail it back to the half-circle limb, where the living was fine, but the wages were slim. Speaking of rodeoing, a lot of y'all know Buck Hamilton. Buck and I was rodeo together and run together, and we were teenagers at a rodeo feeding the stock. We were working the labor list, and Buck, another man was chasing the calves and steers around, and Buck hollered at him, "Get out of the pen, we're trying to feed." Well, that man got so mad that he ran over and grabbed Buck by the shirt like that, and he said, "Boy, what's your name?" Well, Buck says, well, Buck didn't say nothing. First thing he did, he hit that guy, and he hit him so hard that the guy just kind of hung out in the air and did a pinwheel and hit on his belly. He got up and run at Buck again, and Buck knocked him down again. Well, Buck knocked that man down 8 times, and he got up 8 times to run at him again. My dad and I was keeping the dogs off. Another man tried to get in a fight. My dad said, "Only one man fights this boy at a time." Another boy tried to get in a fight, and I tackled him. Dust was boiling, and we was fighting in their pen and everything. And Buck jumped the fence and run off. And I said, "Where are you going, to get a cedar post and make him stay down?" He said, "No, I've had enough. I'm leaving." So I wrote a poem about that. At the rodeo dance last Saturday night, old Smoky Joe had an itch to fight, but we thought he must have lost his goods when he picked a fight with Bully Woods. He cornered Bull and shoved him too, and all of us that knew Bull knew it didn't take that much provoking to get Bull riled. Old Bull was smoking. Old Bully roared and run at Joe. It was round and round and do-si-do. Joe hit him hard right on the chin. Bull shook it off and laughed and grinned. Now Joe could tell what we all knew. He bit off more than he could chew. Well, Joe had fought the Golden Gloves, but Bull was kicking, biting, shove. If Bull could get one hairy fist upon Joe's neck, he'd give a twist. It'd be lights out for Joe that night. He'd never start another fight. Well, Bull could never hit Joe none. Joe danced around and hit and run. Joe must have hit Bull 40 times, but still he never rang his chimes. Then Joe hit Bully 1 time more, then turned around and hit the door. We stepped outside to watch him run. I guess he figured that's no fun. To hit a brute between the eyes and watch him laugh instead of cry. He was making tracks. He was sifting sand. A darn good run beats a poor stand. Well, I've rodeoed and been around. This ain't my first trip here to town. And boys, I've seen a fight or two and maybe even had a few. But that's my first time there that night, to see the loser win the fight, and win the fight and clear the place by beating fists up with his face.